I might not get to. Hello, my name's Allan. Welcome to the online Gurdjieff group meeting. I didn't have one last week. I started coming down with some kind of a head cold. Um, I didn't know if it was going to be good or going to be bad or whatever. It seems pretty mild. Social distancing. I can show my nifty gardener gloves that I wear whenever I go outside. They got nice plastic or rubber so I can grab things to make sure that I'm uh, not contagious. And I have to take a dog out for a walk 3 times a day. And then I've got this used to belong to the dog. I don't even know what it's called. It's a Indy 88. It's a Toronto radio station. I had it around the dog's neck for a long time. Took it off a while ago, and it was just sitting around, but it was dirty. And I figured, what the heck? We can't get masks. There's nothing available. And I mean, I can put this on just like this, or, and I mean, I'm doing it the wrong way than I would do it when I go outside. What I usually do is I double it up. So I'm not breathing out. All my out breath is being contained. It may be coming up just slightly where the nose is, maybe a little bit underneath. So I'm not breathing onto anything. And I've got, 2 lines of defense in order to breathe something in. And I have to say here in Toronto, oops, my hair's a little messy. Most people are maintaining social distancing. Um, they've got lines, on the floor of supermarkets, of pharmacies, various places that are 6 feet apart. People are becoming very cognizant, very aware of the need to maintain their social distance. For myself, it feels like I've had a minor, very mild cold. But in today's, with everything that's going on in the world today, you can't be certain that what you perceive as a cold uh, isn't COVID-19. So I have no idea. I know that the availability for being tested in the province of Ontario, where I am, is very limited. They were caught off guard, so there are not enough tests and not enough equipment and not enough everything. So they are saying if you are experiencing mild symptoms, you just isolate. And for me, I have a dog, I've got a computer, so I'm isolating. But just a little stuffiness still in my nose. It's one of the reasons why I didn't have a meeting last week, was because suddenly I felt myself getting a cold, and it's been quite minor, but it's done weird things with my sense of taste and whatever. So we're living in strange times. And I located a quote that I've been looking for a while. It's one that I know very well. I was looking in all the wrong places, but I found it just about 2 minutes before Brian came on to Zoom. I have no idea if anyone else is joining us on Zoom. I know that Angelica in Sao Paulo, apparently she had COVID-19 really bad. It was, real hard on her. So it's spreading around the world. I don't know where the other members of the group are. The meetings have been kind of sketchy, so sometimes I do them, sometimes I don't. So that could also explain where some of the other people are. So Brian, here in Canada, we're experiencing very unusual weather. And when I say unusual, spring is taking its time in coming. Normally at this time of year, the beginning of April, actually it would have been my mother's birthday today if she was alive. This time of year, normally we get 15, maybe even 20-degree temperature. That's sort of 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. And we're waking up in the morning and it's pretty cold. Some mornings it's been icy. So we're not getting the warm temperatures that could potentially help break the spread of COVID-19. It likes to prey on weakened immune systems. And here in Canada, when the temperature goes up to 15 one day and the next day it's 0, or you leave in the morning and it's 0 and at the end of the day it's 15. We're always taking clothes off, putting them on, taking them off, putting them on. And it's a time of the season that we generally do come down with colds because of the oscillating temperatures, the highs and the lows, and the difference from day to day. So that's probably had an effect up here. What about down where you are in Phoenix, Arizona? It must be beautiful down there now, Brian.
Yeah, it is beautiful right now, but it was also unusually cold up until a couple weeks ago. Just temperatures lower than usual. And everyone kind of noticed it, but I'm not sure why that was, but it was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by unusually cold? What would you imagine the temperature there is now?
Right now it's upper 70s.
And this is in the morning, or is this just during the day, regular?
During the day.
Okay, so right now it's early morning.
Early morning, you're probably low 70s, high
low
60s.
70s. Whereas here up in Toronto, we still have to wear jackets, not heavy winter coats, but it's still very much jacket weather because of the temperatures outside. Here there's screaming panic in terms of the provincial government. Last night has just had another slew of businesses that they shut down. I think previously they were allowing 72 types of businesses to stay open. They're reducing that to 44. Whoops, Hisham, he's trying to enter. They've reduced that to 44.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Hisham, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Allan.
How would you, do you know if there's a big impact of COVID-19, Brian, in the medical system in Arizona?
I don't think we have as many cases as the other states. I mean, we just went into like a more secure lockdown just on Tuesday is when we really went into lockdown where like essential businesses only. So I think we're just a little bit behind everybody else. I've just recently seen it, people like the grocery stores have just put the tape down on the floor, which is new. I just saw that for the first time a couple days ago. The employees are wiping down all the food carts now, which is new. So I mean, we're definitely stepping up the isolating, but I think we're just a little bit late on it.
Yeah. What about the fear? Can you sense fear?
I ask a lot of people about how they're feeling, and I'm not sensing the fear here yet, but I have friends that live in the Northeast, and I can definitely sense it there. Yeah. But not here yet.
Hisham, how are things in Morocco?
Well, we always are in a quarantine, so movements and are being how to say it. We cannot move. We can only move or go out if we need something essential, as to buy. What to eat, or to go to work, or to go to a hospital, or to buy medicine. So only for the essential things. The number of the infected is also rising day to day. So it is in the people are slowly getting the danger of the situation and adapting to the new protective preventive measures that they have to introduce into their own lives. So these are basically new habits that they must develop and get used to with time. So I sometimes when I go out to buy something from the grocery store or from the supermarkets, there is always a great many people there. Uh, Sometimes I notice also that even though we have now more free time than ever, but people are still so to say in a hurry. Maybe it's something automatic that have built up with time in this style of life that we have adopted. So that's it. That's about it.
How is the social distancing going in Toronto? We're very good at following rules, very good at breaking rules, better at following them, and walking down the sidewalk, and people just walk out onto the road. You know, it's like we're maintaining our 6 feet. I have to go out 3 times a day. I have a dog. He needs to be walked. No one's petting him. No one's even looking to pet him. And just walking down the street, it's just amazing how either you automatically step slightly onto the road and they stay on the sidewalk, or you stay on the sidewalk and they step onto the road, and people are just parting around each other. And in the grocery stores, not that I've been to a grocery store, but I was at a pharmacy, and they've got little marks, lines down on the floor, so that when you wait in line, and they also have security now in the doors. So you go in and there's a security guard, and they're really just I forget, you know, the stuff to the stuff for your hands and whatever. That's basically their job, is just to, you know, pour it out or push it out, squeeze it out, so that when you walk in, at least to the pharmacy, your hands are clean. And, you know, people are just staying away from each other. And, you know, we're mammals, mammalian. You know, it means that, you know, we got sustenance from breasts and milk and touch and skin and bonding. It's a very unnatural state for people to exist in. Brian, you live alone, right?
Yep.
But you're able to work. You're one of those professions that allows you to get outside and to work.
Yeah.
So do you go out to work every day? You're not isolated or confined?
No, not confined. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much going out. You know, just taking the precautions when I do go out. When I go do appointments now, you know, when I go into customers' homes, I'll put on a mask, you know, and gloves, and you know, they appreciate that. And a lot of times they're wearing the masks too.
Yeah.
So I'm able to, you know, keep things going just on a safer level.
Hisham, do you live alone?
No, currently I am with my mother in Marrakesh.
Okay, oh, you're in Marrakesh. Okay, so you've
Yes,
gone back
yes,
to your. Is it just you and your mother?
yes. Just the both of us.
So amongst you, you're not in quarantine when you're in the house. So what happens to you happens to her. What happens to her happens to you, or are you staying away from each other, or?
So basically, we are trying to minimize the risk. Basically, it's me that is going out so to do the buying and the groceries, because she has autoimmune diseases, so it is riskier for her if she contracted the disease. So I'm trying to do the stuff which must be done outside the house. And whenever I come back, I take every measure possible to minimize the risk of uh, of uh, of infecting her if it happens that I have the virus my clothes, or so also with the touching and everything, so we stay apart from each other. We can sit together, but we stay apart from each other as much as we can.
How is that affecting your mother, not being able to go out?
She's starting to feel depressed about it. So she sometimes even she can't stand it. But she understands also that it must be like this for the time being, because she understands the risk, certainly for her.
Okay, I'm just going to share the screen. Oops. We get over to I work for myself. I work for mankind. I work for the earth herself. So this work that we're doing, all of this work that we're doing, has global and environmental consequences. Let's to the next one. I wish to be. I can be. I have the right to be. I have the ability to be. I swear to myself that this will never be for my personal profit, but to help others. I wish to be to help others. This is to be understood as a vow. So let's just begin by relaxing our body. According to some, there's a strong connection between what is called a death fright fear or a death fright conflict and the lungs. They say that this is often why when a person goes to their doctor and they're told they have cancer, that the cancer can metastasize fairly easily into the lungs because the diagnosis causes that shock, that death fright. And even though I've had a mild cold in the last week, just barely in my nose, there was one morning where it was like, it felt like a little weird breathing, and suddenly just like, phew, the fear that arose in me in that moment. And so let go of that fear, to recognize that holding on to the fear within our body has all sorts of effects, particularly on the immune system and our ability to handle disease and illness. So just begin by relaxing your body. Just begin by allowing all of the muscles to drain of any tension. Mr. Gurdjieff said it was a good idea to begin with the top of the head and then slowly work your way downwards. So let's just relax the forehead, the occipital muscles in the back of the head. Let's move down to the eyebrows, down to the nose, face, the muscles in the sides of the head, around the ear, the back. Just moving down our body, from our head down to our neck, to our shoulders, to our chest, upper back, upper arms, down to our midriff, elbows, middle back, down our lower abdomen, lower back, lower arms, down to our hips, down our legs, down to our feet. Just try to relax the body. The fear response is related to the parasympathetic nervous system. The fear response, the fight, flight, or freeze response turns off the immune system. But one of the ways we can toggle back and forth is to turn the parasympathetic nervous system off through progressive relaxation, through focusing on our breath, through focusing on the process of breathing. And if we can think of a word, the most important word we can think of in these times is the word safe. I am safe. I am safe has a certain resonance within it that helps the body to relax, a certain understanding of this process. So just relaxing the body, allowing a feeling perhaps of safety to arise. Now, I haven't really gone into great detail in these meetings because I've been attempting to keep it very strictly in a certain respect to what Mr. Gurdjieff taught, to his words. But within people in my personal life, within clients, I go an extra step. We have a head brain. The head brain is connected to our eyes, our ears, our nose, our taste buds. So when we're engaged in a head brain activity, it can be as simple as consciously looking, becoming aware of everything that we can see, the different hues, colors, shapes, forms. It could also be auditorily, what we hear, the different sounds. It could also be what we smell, also what we taste. And for those people who have a bit of difficulty calming the words and the inner dialogue that goes on in their mind, that formatory thinking, just focusing on what you could see, being mindful of what you can see while also being mindful of what you can hear, while being mindful of what you can smell and being mindful of what you can taste. And please do all of these as I describe them, will allow those thoughts to quieten, to calm down. This ability to perceive my environment through my eyes, through my ears, through my nose, through my taste buds will prevent those thoughts that could overwhelm my mind from overwhelming them. Now, we have a head brain. Our eyes, ears, nose, and taste buds are connected to the head brain. But we also have two other parts of the head brain. Mr. Gurdjieff said in Beelzebub Tales, in the very beginning of it, the chapter, from the author, he talks about mentation by thought and mentation by form. I love Mr. Gurdjieff and the way he used words. This is thinking in words. And a lot of people say thinking in pictures, but the pictures is not quite accurate. It's mostly accurate because most of what goes on in the brain are words and pictures. We think of our mother and we see her face. We think of the job we have to do and we see some kind of representation of it. And the word imagine, if you take it at its root, it comes from image. But it's more than image, because I can also think in sensation. I can recall the sensation of my hand reaching out, touching a door handle, squeezing, getting the pressure, and opening the door handle. I can also recall the scent of a rose. Breathe it in. This is actually called a positive hallucination in hypnosis, to recall a scent. I can recall the sound of a car, the sound of a door closing. So our inner senses, the inner sense of sight, sound, touch, taste, and sensation, as an inner sense, these are also head brain activities. So when we think in words and when we think in pictures, the understanding that pictures or forms, thinking in forms, includes the sensorially rich ability to visualize with our full sensorial abilities, so smell, taste, sight, all of that in our imagination. So we have a head brain. Become aware of what you can see. Become aware of your ears hearing. Become aware of your nose smelling. Become aware of your taste buds tasting. And then in your mind, think the words, I am safe. I am safe. Perhaps sounding the words in your mind, you could even visually see the I am safe. This is actually using the verbal or linguistic component of your head brain. Then the other thing about the head brain, I don't know how deep I want to go into this, but the head brain is not localized, probably the wrong word, fixed in time. So the head brain, for instance, a verb in its infinitive form, to save or to be safe is a head brain construct. It's not immediate, it's not present moment. In the infinitive form, to be safe, the verb is more nebulous. It's not as concrete, it's not as practical, it's not as down to earth. But through the head brain, through the understanding of the nature of words like I am safe, on the one hand, the mentation by thought, and then to pictorially, sensorially represent ourself as being safe. This is best done in the second person. So rather than imagining that you are feeling safe, to actually represent in your mind through your imagination, and this is primarily visual, but there can be auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory elements, to see yourself being safe. For myself, years ago, I was a student of history, and there was something about the Roman era that really appealed to me. And one of the ways the Romans represented peace, Pax Romana, was with fields of wheat. Whenever there was war, the soldiers would, steal everything, and they would ravage the countrysides. And so I would imagine seeing myself with such a look of safety on my face, standing in the middle of a field of golden grain. This is my particular representation and the way I do it, because of the just imagining, wheat fields extending as far as the eye could see, but imagining seeing myself standing there. So think to yourself, think in words, think, I am safe. The sub-vocalizations, the inner vocalizations in your mind, perhaps even imagine that you can see the word I, see the word am, see the word safe as you sound this out in your mind. Perhaps this image of these words could be in a certain color. It could be a certain shape or a color, or a way of representing this phrase in your mind that adds to the safety. Perhaps I am safe, and to see growth and greenery and food and fruit. And then I am safe, to imagine being able to see yourself as you are now, but as if you were looking at yourself and looking at your face, looking at your movements. And you can do this with your eyes open as you're listening to me. We have this view screen on the inside of the mind's eye, so we can have this, so you can see the words, I am safe, projected between you and reality in your mind. And so to imagine, and this is actually, it is best done with your eyes closed, I am safe. A head brain, visual, second person representation of being safe, seeing yourself safe in an environment. Now we have a head brain, we have a body brain, and we have a feeling brain. Mr. Gurdjieff said that we must learn to harmonize the functioning of our three brains so that they're all working on the same page, the same script. But the problem is they work on different scripts. The head brain, its input is different than the body brain, which is different than the feeling brain. Mr. Gurdjieff, and I've talked about this before, the clearest representation of self-remembering is in the chapter of form and sequence in Beelzebub Tales. The very, very last paragraph of that chapter talks about the twin of self-remembering. The twin of self-remembering, we can use other words such as active being, mentation, thinking with all three brains. My head brain, I am safe. Saying the words, perhaps seeing the words, seeing an image of myself standing in this beautiful field of golden wheat, just imagining the look of safety on my face, imagine the way I'm holding my body, my arms, I feel so safe. And then when we bring it down into the body brain, here it's very important, extremely important to master the ability to sense your entire body as one organic whole in a moment. The sensation of self. Mr. Gurdjieff goes on and on and on in many different places that this ability to sense ourself is the most important dimension of inner work. And there is very advanced inner work beyond that, but it's all predicated on this ability to hold this awareness of my physical body, to be a part of all of my observations. So I am safe. Within the Gurdjieff teachings, Mr. Gurdjieff said, say the word I. Notice where you feel that in your body, where it's located. Say the word am. We can bring words and the sound of words into our body. So the body brain, I am safe. That awareness in my physical body. That mindful awareness of my body as one organic whole, to speak the words, I am safe, into my body. I can get even more esoteric here. I is the subject. Safe is the object. Am is the verb that links the subject to the object. So I am safe. To bring those three words into your physical body, to feel, to not just feel, but to sense the safety in your body. I am safe. And then we have a feeling brain. And this one's a lot more difficult. Most people, their feeling brains have atrophied. I remember, it must have been somewhere around 2006. I was standing at a bus stop, 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning in the middle of winter. And coming to this realization, we're three brain beings and how to evoke feeling. And I remember back then going, I'm just going to fake it. I'm going to, and I didn't use the words, I was using a different phrase. I am safe, the sound, the verbs, the words, the images, I am safe, the body. And then the emotion, there is an emotion of feeling safe. At first, I just brought my awareness to the front of my body, to where I know the primary feeling circuit is. We can feel feelings throughout our entire body. Feelings, emotions are grounded in the physical body, but they're different than sensation. I can feel anger and outbursts and rage in my fists, but my primary feeling circuit actually follows the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve. It comes down from the brain. Vagus means wandering. In Latin, it's a wandering nerve. Wherever it has ganglion, it has brain cells. There are pictures of neurons in our hearts. The vagus nerve, we've got brain cells going right down to the very top of our large intestines. But along this circuit, we can begin to feel feelings starting deep in our gut, moving up. Our liver is the seat of anger, pancreas, spleen, up into our lungs. We can feel emotions in our lungs. We can feel them in our heart. We can feel them in our throat. And this is the limit of the vagus nerve, but we also feel emotions in our face. I think that there's some kind of me to fa as the emotions move up, some kind of shock. So to bring the emotions up, to feel them from the top of our large intestines, up through the duodenum, the stomach, up through our vital organs, up through our lungs, into our heart, into our throat. And then where else do we experience emotions? We can laugh, we can cry, we can feel it in our jaw, in our throat, the muscles in our face, our faces, our eyes, right up to our tear ducts. And so the primary feeling circuit in the body goes from somewhere down here. We can use the word gut, even though that's not really a scientific and anatomically correct term. But somewhere within our gut, our stomach, we actually have more brain cells in our stomach than we do in our spinal column. They call the stomach the second brain. So we've got these brain cells all the way along where the vagus nerve is. We can feel along that circuit, and then we can feel into the face. And initially, the feeling of safety. What does safety feel like? I am safe. It's lower blood pressure. It's a calmer heartbeat. It's a deep relaxation in the whole body, but there's also an emotional component to it. And at first, and this is going back like to 2005, 2006, I faked the emotional part. I just brought my awareness and became mindful of my emotional circuit, starting, as I said, the top of the intestines, down around the navel, all the way up to my tear ducts and my eyes. And I started to say affirmations in a three-brained way. I am safe. Imagining, seeing myself in a wheat field with beautiful sunshine, looking really safe, seeing the look of safety on my face, the safety on the way I'm holding my body, the way my feet are, connected to the ground, the climate, the weather, warmth, sunshine. I always liked it to be late spring, early summer. The head brain component, I am safe. The body brain component, I am safe. Bringing that down into our physical body. And then the feeling brain component, breathing it up along the feeling circuit, I am safe. And initially, the head brain, I am safe. The body brain, I am safe. The feeling brain, I am safe. And you flip from one to the other, and back and forth. But the more experience you get at saying, and this is an affirmation, and this is a form of say, or a three-brained way to say affirmations. You say it with your head brain, then with your body brain, and then with your feeling brain. And this order is very important. Head, body, feeling, head, body, feeling. And you just go around, and initially you will, I am safe, you will form the words in your mind, and you will see the image of yourself somewhere. And here again, it's very important for yourself to be in the second person, not a first person experiencing it through your eyes, but seeing yourself. That ability of the head brain to represent yourself and imagine that is very important. So saying it in your head, sensing it in your body, then feeling it in your feeling circuit and flipping around in that sequence. You do it, and you do it as a meditative exercise for, say, 15 minutes. The more you do it, the better you get. At a certain point, I just saw my dog moving his head, getting off. At a certain point, they begin to blend together. They begin, so you hold on to a little bit of the head as you move down into the body, and as you move into the emotion, you hold on to a little of the body, and as you move from the emotion to the head, you hold on to a little bit of the emotion, and they begin to blur together. And Mr. Gurdjieff talked about the importance, to have an idea, to properly have an idea in all three of our centers does something magical. And so this is like a key that can open things. Let me see if I can share it. For those of you at home, on Facebook, I apologize. I think I'm too clean with my desk and put things away. Can you guys hear this? You can't hear the words, okay. Let's see.
I am safe.
I guess it won't do it. I recorded this yesterday. Can you hear this?
Imagine I am safe.
The imagine.
Yeah.
The I am safe. Okay.
Sense I am safe.
So this is something that I worked out.
Feel I am safe.
Years ago. Head, body.
Imagine I am safe.
So in this recording, imagine. That's the head brain.
Sense I am safe.
Sense is the body brain.
Feel I am safe.
Feel is the feeling brain. And I've got them recorded every
Imagine
6
I am
seconds.
safe.
It's enough to go through them.
Sense
You don't want
I
to go
am
through
safe.
them too slowly because of the way the subconscious mind works.
Feel
And
I am
after
safe.
this was years of experimenting, I found 6 seconds.
Imagine I am
works
safe.
Really good. And so to just sit.
Sense I am safe.
I used to sit on TTC, Toronto Transit Commission, public transit.
Feel I am
back
safe.
when I had to commute, and listen to affirmations and various different things working
Imagine
through this theory.
I am safe.
But this is the proper way to say an
Sense
affirmation.
I am safe.
The affirmation for the world today, and I'll just stop
Feel.
this. The affirmation for the world today for COVID-19, with fear and the death rate being such a big component of this, is to engender feelings of safety. Now, what I just talked about can be broadened. If your problem is that you're shy and timid, You could say, I am confident. And by locating the sources of fractures within your being, by finding those, and we've talked about them before, those levers that get trapped, by figuring out what it is, by breaking it down as simply into a 3-word sentence, 2 of the words being I am. And you might have the word be as well, be something, but simple as possible. Imagine, sense, feel. Imagine, sense, feel. You're working through all of your brains. You are bringing your awareness into your body. It's a profound inner exercise. And you do things like this, and you begin to calm down. Your subconscious mind begins to respond. So I want you to just relax your body. Relax your body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Just imagine as you breathe in a slight degree of tension, and as you breathe out, you relax your whole body down to the bottom of your feet. Breathing in to the top of your head and relaxing your whole body as you breathe down to the bottom of your feet. Breathing in to the top of your head, relaxing your whole body down to the bottom of your feet. And then in your head brain, think the words, I am safe. Perhaps even see the words, I am safe. And then imagine seeing yourself representing in your inner eye, in your mind. Imagine you can see yourself looking so safe, representing this to yourself however you want to. And here, it is also sometimes a good idea for some people to actually write down what the image is so that they have something very clear to focus on. You want to be able to see all of the muscles in your face relaxed. You want to see your throat relaxed. You want to imagine you can see your blood pressure lower, your breathing properly. I am safe. And then bring these words into your body, sensing your entire body at once. Sensing your body from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head, side to side, front to back, inside out. Sensing the touch of clothing on your body, the air that touches your face. Really develop this awareness of your body and say, I am safe. Say, think these words into your physical body. I am safe. And then breathe these words up through your emotional center, through your feeling center. Even just becoming mindful of this circuit, perhaps just trying to smile a little bit, trying to smile a little bit with your eyes, with your mouth, with the muscles in your face and the muscles in your chest and your heart and your stomach. Just try to bring that feeling of safety into your stomach, your heart, your throat, your face. Head brain, I am safe. Imagining, seeing yourself in the second person, the words. Body brain, I am safe. That sensation of self, saying the words into your body. Your feeling brain, I am safe. And circling through. And here, as a student of NLP and a hypnotherapist, I have an advantage because I understand that there are 3 processes, what we call states, processes, and experiences. That feeling safe is actually a state. We have many experiences in our life of feeling safe. And we also, there's within us a process whereby this is at the subconscious level, we don't even recognize or see the body suddenly feeling safe. But if we can recall a moment in our life when we felt safe, perhaps as a small child, some adult being very protective of us, feeling very safe. I can remember one time I was 14 years old with my mother on a bus tour in Europe, and I forget exactly what I did, but some of the locals got really upset at me. And the people on the bus tour suddenly surrounded me and made me feel so safe. I can't describe the feeling of safety. I went from a moment when I was feeling like I was being harassed and hassled to when there was this protective wall of people who just stepped in front of me and made me feel so protective. So that's the memory of feeling safe. That's the experience. Now, there's a slight process. You don't necessarily have to become aware of the slight process. This is actually best done through hypnosis. You know, okay, what do you feel now? Then what do you feel? Then what do you feel? And we can build up a sequence of steps that the body goes through in order to feel safe. And then we can remember the experience, the state of feeling safe. Ultimately, the memory, the moment of feeling safe, and the steps that lead up to feeling safe are all secondary, and ultimately they can be jettisoned once we can experience that feeling state, the feeling state of I am safe. Once we've gone back to those memories of feeling safe, we've recalled what it was like, we've entered our body and saw what we saw, heard what we heard, we recall that moment as best we can, we brought it into our body, that physiological awareness into our body and all of that. Once we have the state, we can forget the process and the experiences. And it's just a matter of coming back into that state again. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Done in the head, done with the body, done with the heart. Now, I also have to say, I haven't shared this too much because it is a very, very advanced exercise. If you are not able to sense your entire body as one organic whole, you probably won't be able to do the exercise properly. It requires a lot of work first, but the inner exercises that we've been working through on these online meetings, if you've been following them, if you've been paying attention to them, you can probably do this. And to just use it as a meditation, as a way of feeling safe. Imagine, I am safe, seeing yourself in the second person. Sense into your physical body, the awareness of your physical body as one organic whole. I am safe, saying those words into your body. And then breathing it up along the feeling circuit. I am safe. And then you loop around, one to the other, to the other, to the other, and back again. Looping around, head, body, heart, using all three brains, trying to hold on with the head as you move into the body, trying to hold on to the body as you move into the heart, the feelings, trying to get them to blend, to merge. So, wasn't quite the inner exercise I was actually planning to do, but I think it's a more appropriate inner exercise. A lot of explanation, a lot of talking about it, but I am safe. Head, I am safe. Body, I am safe. Feeling. Just moving around so that safety, the feeling of safe, being safe, the image of you being safe, the sensation of you being safe, and the feeling of you being safe all align. And they begin to work together, and your three brains begin to ultimately work in harmony. So let's just finish, even though this was a very informal inner exercise. Let's just finish by the collected state, by drawing your atmosphere back towards your body. by drawing your energy back towards your body. Keep it contained, collect it around you, perhaps a meter, meter and a half in dimension. Keep it tranquil, keep it calm, keep it still. And in a moment when I count to 3, breathe it in, and as you breathe out, just as you breathe out, just allow it to dissipate. First within you, you breathe it in, you count to 3. As you breathe out, you can breathe out a great foggy waste, but imagine, not the dissipation, imagine that something settles within you, some part of it. So collect your atmosphere, keep it tranquil, keep it still, keep your thoughts still, keep your body still, keep your emotions still. Be tranquil. 1, 2, 3. Breathe it in, and then as you breathe out, imagine something remains. And then silently in your mind, repeat after me. May results from this exercise be transubstantiated within me for my being. And then, just slowly bring yourself back. Are there any questions, any comments? Imagine, sense, feel. Hisham.
Yes, I just wanted to report the sensation that I felt doing this exercise. So what I've tried essentially is to call back all those experiences what I have when I have felt emotionally good or stable and good feelings, all those experiences, one after the other, and to recall all those sensations and feelings that I have felt in these moments. As I kept doing this, the breathing got very intense, very deep, and as I inhaled, there is a distinct sensation here in the solar plexus. At the same time, with time, with time in this process, the temperature of my hands started rising, and I could feel somehow a little pressure on the hands. I don't know how to put it in words, but temperature, I feel the temperature of my hands has gone rising. And also there was an inner smile, not connected with the body, but an inner smile. I don't know how, behind the face, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if you get the idea. So these were what I have experienced. I don't know if you have anything to say about it.
Well, one of the places we hold anxiety, particularly strongly, is in the stomach. And it's not that we hold anxiety there. It's when we're in that fight, flight, or freeze state, the blood is not actually flowing properly to the stomach. And so we do tend to notice anxiety and fear, and those things tend to be more noticeable in these solar plexus. And you had a very interesting comment to say about your solar plexus, that you felt something different down there. Can you talk more about that?
So I don't know how to describe it. Rather than when I inhale, there is this distinctive sensation here.
In your solar plexus.
And I don't know how to say more about it. I don't know how to describe.
You're actually just on the cusp of very accurately describing feeling. And the exercise that came by at George ID that I call the morning exercise, breathing in, and then as you breathe out, you imagine feeling flowing down into your solar plexus. And it's never really described what that is, but it seemed like you were actually sort of, as best you could, actually describing that, awareness. Because did you feel something come into your solar plexus, or did you feel it just expand outwards from in your solar plexus, in your, maybe not solar plexus is the wrong place, but in that zone? It's like you felt something entering into it.
It's rather that there is something there, and it is expressing itself.
It's arising there.
So it is there, and it is as I breathe out, as I breathe in, it is being felt. It is being sensed.
Okay.
So it is there.
Yeah.
It's not as if something is getting there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is, within that exercise of breathing. You breathe in and imagine something flowing down there. I get, at least from my end, I get the impression that what you're experiencing is not imagine something flowing down there, that there is something real flowing down there within you that is leading this experience, which would tend to indicate that morning sitting exercise, the first part of the breathing down into your solar plexus, you understand that, not at a head brain level, but at a feeling brain level, and are able to do that. And that's part of the process. But that's a very interesting observation. Becoming aware. Does it flow? Is there a sort of flow to it, like waves? I mean, when you say, I am safe, and you do it in the feeling center, is there an ebb and flow to it?
I didn't understand the question.
Yeah. The awareness that you have in your solar plexus, it's not always aware. Is there a flow to that awareness? Is there a rhythm? And I'm using my hand on the screen.
Yes.
That awareness.
Like
So it's like a pulse.
yeah.
It's
Yes,
like a pulse, but it's not like the heartbeat pulse. It's like a breathing pulse.
Yes.
And okay, so
what I can also say is that when I feel this, the head brain is being shut down. The thoughts that I have, that I rather have, when I don't have these sensations, quiets down, and I feel centered.
Is your head brain really being shut down? Here we're getting into the nitty gritty. Or are you at this point I mean, the thoughts that we think in words are very low thoughts. We can actually think at a higher level, but it's really hard sometimes to bring that higher level thinking down into words, to express it in words. You're not turning your head brain off. You're turning the blah 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 blah, the more of the formatory apparatus in your head brain off. But there's still that intelligence, there's still that awareness, right?
Yes, yes. There is that noticing. I notice what is happening. I notice also that's the thoughts that are spinning, that are naturally spinning there, are calmed down. So there is some noticing there.
Yeah. I mean, people think that at that level, which is the level of the formatory apparatus, and like the cut and paste of words in our mind, that constant flow. Those are the normal thoughts, and that's the normal part of the brain that, for instance, we use to write books, we use to give lectures and talks and whatever. So when it feels like it's being turned off, it's like you feel like you're shutting the mind down. I shouldn't be using the word feel, seeming like your thoughts are stopping. But that's just the lower thoughts. It's the mechanical, random, formatory thoughts. But your awareness and your intelligence is still there. Do you notice that? Or you're not at the position yet of quite being able to observe that? You just notice the quietening of your mind. I know that offline, in some of the private messages we've exchanged, you've talked about becoming aware of the difference between certain thoughts. That I could be mixing you up with someone that I know live as well, who said that it's like an almost wordless higher form of thinking. As everything slows down in the brain, we tap into something higher.
Maybe someone else. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not.
Well, I mean, this is something to observe, to become aware of. It's important to recognize that the formatory thoughts that flow around in our brain are fueled by hydrogen 48. It's a very dense, heavy, low energy for who we are. It's not a low energy if you're a piece of bacteria or whatever. That would be phenomenal intelligence. But for us, it's a lower form of intelligence. When we think, for instance, at the level of World 24, Hydrogen 24, we're actually stepping slightly beyond the words. If you can get up to the point where you think with Hydrogen 12, and you can begin to perceive impressions with Hydrogen 12, it's a different order of brain work. You're just at the cusp, I guess, of noticing that, by noticing that when you do that, when you focus on the breathing and everything, that those thoughts go down, the formatory thoughts. Pay attention. There are other parts of the mind that are then being activated. They say that at the level of 24, or not at the level of 24, at the level of 48, our centers or our brains are all very dysfunctional. But as we begin to harmonize the functioning of our brains, that involves the movement up to 24, the movement up to 12. And as we do that, we begin to automatically operate in a three-brained fashion. So as those thoughts clear, there's another form of thinking that you can then begin to observe a little more clearly. It's like there's that sort of mud on the bottom of a fish tank, and the mud is the lower thoughts. You get that all to settle down, and you can begin to become aware of other perceptions as well. So what you described in terms of your brain, in terms of that awareness of your brain, pay a little bit more attention to that. Really strive to actually figure out what it means to think without words, what it means to think. I mean, I'm not talking about the higher intellectual center. That is hydrogen 6. That's part of the, the universal mind, so to speak. But, the level of 24, at the level of 12, it becomes more refined. It's still there. Your most important thoughts, your most important insights, your intuitions will all come from that level. So, pay attention to that. These are some wonderful observations that you've made, Hisham, giving an opportunity to explain some of these ideas a little more clearly. Any other questions? Brian, any questions? Any?
Let's see. Can you just repeat what you said about the insights coming in from I think, did you say World 12, or because I do feel like things come to me creatively, like when when the mind is the most calm. Like most of my ideas, I feel like I don't really actually think of them, but they just come to me.
Yeah, the intuition is I mean, Mr. Gurdjieff talked about how sometimes we can accidentally open to the higher emotional center. And when we open to the higher emotional center, there's like this voice of a higher intelligence that comes down into us. And so just, coming back to my old diagram here, pay attention to, World 48, and then World 24, the octave of impressions, World 12, So, 48, I can write that there. 24, not so good. 12. These are all connected to the mind. The body, the breath, and the mind. Food, air, impressions. Do 48 is this very mechanical thinking. This is incredibly mechanical, very heavy thinking. This is the formatory apparatus. These are the words and pictures that circle through our brain from the moment when we wake up to when we go to bed. And this is more also the realm of the linguistic processing unit in the brain, where we parse and understand language. There are higher levels to language as well. But then we go more deeply into the language, and it's not so much the muscular pronunciation of words and whatever. But as we move up into the realm of 24, the planetary realm, the the realm of natural man, if we use St. Paul, thoughts take on a different quality. And sometimes it's not easy to notice. I mean, there are two ways. One is through the quietening of the formatory apparatus, through quieting the words that flow around in our head, that blah, 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 blah. That's a very mechanical, very dense form of thinking. When you write a book, when you give a presentation, when you give a lecture, they're all done with words, and they're all done in a sense at a lower part of the mind. Even a 3-year-old can begin babbling, or a 5-year-old. This is the level of normal intellectual discourse. It's where we connect, where we talk, where we exchange ideas. But within ourselves, we actually have a higher level of intelligence. And then we also have a higher level of intelligence. And then we also have a higher level of intelligence. Let me just try and get rid of some of what I did on the screen here. The higher intellectual center, Fa 6. This is beyond most of us. This is, the holy denying is at the level of all 6, of hydrogen 6. It's like the universal mind. So I'm not talking about the universal mind so much as I'm talking about the mental activities that occur in this realm, these two levels, to begin paying attention. I know, I'm sure, Hisham, that this is going back months, but you mentioned how there were some things that kind of came to you, and I'm probably using the wrong language and wrong words. We're going back probably to December in terms of some of the private messages that, we've sent. Just this knowing.
Yeah, this was a message I sent in the group, in the Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a text message, but yes, talking about becoming, perceiving these different levels. Now, there's also the perceiving of different levels to the emotional center as well. The emotional center generally works with hydrogen 12 or hydrogen 24. It should work with 12. I think actually a lot of our emotions are, really muddied and dirty. And so there is the expression, we can experience emotions in world 96, which are the homicidal lose it, rage emotions. And then the emotions in world 48 are the mechanical emotions. And then emotions in world 24 are the mindful, aware emotions. And then emotions in world 12 are like the unitive Godward emotions. And these all are fueled by different energies. The same with thinking. So when you're relaxing your solar plexus, when you're feeling that calmness, that pulse that flows down or flows in or arises within your solar plexus as a result of feeling, and then that calms the formatory thinking, the words in, World 48, you will also at that point open up to these higher brains. So, just different things that you can start to become aware of. For those who are new to the Gurdjieff teachings, this is really, really deep esoteric stuff I'm talking about. Hisham has been involved in these teachings for a while. So I'm hoping that he's understanding some of the things I'm saying in terms of what to look for. So I am safe. The visual image of me standing in a wheat field, surrounded by wheat and everything, is actually a very, in a sense, lower level thought. There's a certain density to that thought. There's a certain heaviness. When we begin to breathe properly, when we begin to connect the three centers, when we begin to self-remember, that part of the brain gets turned off or turned down. And at that point, we open to higher thoughts. We open to a higher intelligence that already exists within us. So by those two comments you made about the solar plexus and your thinking, allows us to understand some of the higher levels of these processes. I have absolutely no doubt, Hisham, that if you do the I am safe exercise, you will do it in a different way, even though it will appear on the outside the same as other people, and you will get a different experience from it because of where you are in terms of the path, because of the fact that you've taken control over your own development and set yourself will tasks, some of them that last months, some of them that are weeks, some of them that last days. You really, really striven to live these teachings in all dimensions of your being in a way that a lot of people can't, because they still have to develop and get up to that level. But these are what I'm talking about is somewhat more advanced in terms of the thinking, in terms of the feelings, but it's something that we can all get to through doing this inner work, through really striving to work on ourselves. I guess, we're running out of time, so I was actually going to bring a quote in about the collapse of civilizations and how it's a good time. I'll just briefly pull the quote up. Maybe I'll get to it the next meeting. Oops. Periods of mass madness, often coinciding with geological cataclysms, climate changes, and similar phenomenon of a planetary character, release a very great quantity of the matter of knowledge. There is nothing unjust in this, because those who receive knowledge take nothing that belongs to others, deprive others of nothing. They take only what others have rejected as useless, and what in any case would be lost if they did not take it. The collecting of knowledge by some depends on the rejection of knowledge by others. There are periods in the life of humanity which generally coincide with the beginning of the fall of cultures and civilization, when the masses irretrievably lose their reason and begin to destroy everything that has been created by centuries and millennials of culture. Such periods of mass madness often coinciding with geological cataclysms, climate changes, and similar phenomenon of a planetary character, release a very great quantity of the matter of knowledge. This in turn necessitates the work of collecting this matter of knowledge, which would otherwise be lost. Thus, the work of collecting scattered matter of knowledge frequently coincides with the beginning of the destruction and the fall of cultures and civilizations. This aspect of the question is clear. The crowd neither wants nor seeks knowledge, and the leaders of the crowd, in their own interest, try to strengthen its fear and dislike of everything new and unknown. The slavery in which mankind live is based upon this fear. It is even difficult to imagine all the horror of this slavery. We do not understand what people are losing, but in order to understand the cause of this slavery, it is enough to see how people live, what constitutes the aim of their existence, the object of their desires, passions, and aspirations, of what they think, of what they talk, of what they serve, and what they worship. Consider what the cultured humanity of our time spends money on, even leaving the war out, what commands the highest price, where the biggest crowds are. If we think for a moment about these questions, it becomes clear that humanity, as it is now, with the interests it lives by, cannot expect to have anything different than what it has. But as I've already said, it cannot be otherwise. Imagine that for the whole of mankind, a half a pound of knowledge is allotted a year. If this knowledge is distributed among everyone, each will receive so little that he will remain the fool that he was. But thanks to the fact that very few want to have this knowledge, those who take it are able to get, let us say, a grain each, and acquire the possibility of becoming more intelligent. All cannot become intelligent, even if they wish. And if they did become intelligent, it would not help matters. There exists a general equilibrium which cannot be upset. I'm just going to stop there. I'll go through this in greater detail in the next meeting. But this fear, this all-pervasive fear, those power-possessing beings realize that they govern through this fear. The journalists, the media organizations, they really get off on fear and spreading fear. And we can see it now. You know, we're not just the fact that we are at one of those cataclysmic times at the ending of a civilization. What is going on right here and now in terms of the COVID-19, in terms of the fear, and understand that, you know, a perfectly healthy person with no underlying conditions can die from COVID-19. Usually, though, for what will happen for them, it will be an absolute fear of death, a death shock fear that will allow their body's immune system to fall apart so quickly that the COVID-19 can take effect, and then it has fibroids and various things that end up blocking the breathing, and it grows out of, it just grows crazy. But the primary emotion underlying that is fear. And we live in a fear-based society, a fear-based economy, fear, 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 fear. And even though things are very settled, this is actually a bizarre time, because in our own homes, we can experience a great deal of tranquility. We have the opportunity to do a lot of inner work, but we can still see the fear and how it's taken over society. And this allows us to grow a little bit more, to obtain a little bit more esoteric knowledge. This is a great time to go back and read a book like In Search of the Miraculous, or Views from the Real World, or to go back and explore some of the source documents of the teachings, because your understanding will open a little more to it, because the whole world is looking in a different direction, so to speak. The whole world is looking in the pandemic fear direction, and that leaves this other direction wide open, much more so than normal. So this is also an ideal time for us to do inner work, to come to these realizations, to develop these higher thoughts. It's almost 12. I have to go to the toilet really badly. So I'm going to end this meeting 2 minutes ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Allan. Thank you.
And I'll go through that quote in great detail next week. But for those of you on Facebook, thank you for listening and watching. For those of you on YouTube, thank you as well. And bye now.